At least for the next year, I think it'll still require a human to review, but I'll say in 2 years, it'll get to the point where it'll be self-sufficient.
It's a wonderful thing. It's a very important thing for brands to have direct contact with their consumers.
Feel like if they're landing in the promotions tab, that it's spam, but it's not spam.
I think a lot of those functions are going to be able to be accomplished by AI directly.
Just all our everyday tools are going to be embedded with it.
And so I think it's a really exciting time. I think the Gmail spam filter is drunk and it should go home. And the reason I say that is because I sign up for totally normal things and the welcome email or the registration email goes into the spam folder, or I share content with somebody else and then they don't see it and I have to tell them to check spam. And it's like this big runaround. And it really does make me wonder, is Gmail like literally trying to make email worse so people are compelled to spend more on Google ads? I don't know. Not sure. But one thing I have seen is they're adding more tabs, right? They've already got the inbox tab, the promotions tab, spam tab, but they're adding now a purchases view tab as well as a subscriptions tab. And they're starting to turn a lot of emails into like UI inside of the Gmail interface. And one of the interesting things I've realized is it's really shining the limelight on these transactional emails. Things like, here's your registration email, welcome, a receipt, thank you for placing an order, a shipping notification, like your item has shipped, or it's on the way, or it's been delivered, that kind of thing. Those are pretty good at getting into the inbox. And so when you think about it, those might be the best new marketing emails, right? And so it's kind of important not to think about those transactional emails as an afterthought, but actually as like inventory. You know those are going to make it into the inbox. And so how do you keep the business message in there and succinct and accurate, but use the rest of that email to tell a story, catch somebody's attention, get some interest and try to make them force a decision on coming back to your site and checking out new products, new collections, new merchandise, that kind of thing. And so it's funny that your very best email ad inventory might actually be kind of dressed in a barcode outfit now as it arrives because it's delivering some kind of important message that Gmail will let through, but they can't let through partial email. So that means you've got the whole rest of the email to merchandise, right? To run a sale, to do a promotion, to educate, to try to form that connection to bring the shopper back again.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. I think being able to take advantage of that transactional email and somehow use a portion of it to be able to promote something else is going to be really useful because you know that transactional email is going to get through. Also, with all the different tabs, it's really interesting because I think a lot of brands really fight to get into the inbox and feel like if they're landing in the promotions tab that it's spam, but it's not spam, right? So the promotions tab technically is the inbox. But I know a lot of brands do try to land in the primary inbox, which is tough to do because at the end of the day, a marketing message is a marketing message, right? But I think companies need to keep in mind that the promotions tab is a death sentence. It's still the inbox, and I think customers still look through it because they signed up for your emails for a reason. So they're going to want to check that tab to find out what latest information is coming or what sort of discounts or what new products are launching. So I guess I just have a reminder for companies that the promotions tab is not the spam folder.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, ultimately, Google is evaluating kind of every email that gets sent through to determine the frequency, the utility, and the relevance, right? And it's based on those three kind of intuitions, depends on which tab it's going to go into. But they don't have a lot of data, right? They have opens, clicks, and they have the content of the email itself. And so one of the things that's really important to pay attention to is the content of that email, because they are reading the words and following the links and caching the images and really trying to understand what tab to put the email into. And so if you're struggling on kind of landing in the primary inbox or the promotions inbox, really think about what is the content of that email and how can you tack on content to those important transactional emails that you know are going to go to the primary inbox so that you can get some marketing message kind of along for the ride.
Yep, 1,000%. I love that. I think that's such a good idea that I don't see many companies doing. So I hope everybody is listening and tries it, or at least give it a test, right? I think there is a percentage that you are allowed to have of marketing within your transactional email.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know.
20%.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So I guess that's a pretty good rule of thumb. So about 20% of every transactional email should be earmarked for marketing copy. And that could be things like, an animated ticker at the top promoting a sale. It could be a promoted or related products down below the main content of the email. It could be pulling over content from social media and putting it inside of the email. Like there's lots of different ways that you can kind of fill that 20% up to bring people back.
So the next great marketing company is actually going to be AI native. And it's a company that's not going to use AI, but it's actually going to be built with it. So we're used to seeing marketing giants of the past who used channels to build the company. So email, social, and search. But the next one is going to be built around infrastructure. So ingesting data, making creative decisions, and executing campaigns without having us humans as the bottleneck. So it's not going to be an agency. It's not going to be an enterprise tool. It'll be a full stack AI native engine that automates insight, creative, and delivery. And the future isn't using AI to do marketing, it's AI doing the marketing itself.
Mm, that's a really good insight. I totally agree with that because it's all about context. And it seems like, and I know if you are able to feed the AI with all the appropriate context about who you are, who your customer is, what you're selling, what your products look like, how much they cost, what's available, what's not, where are all the images, AI is pretty good at like making those decisions. And when you think about the kind of job map of a marketer, it breaks down into like doing all these discrete little things, writing copy, writing subject lines, preparing photography, preparing discount codes, building your list, actually preparing and sending out the email or the text message or running the print ad or sending the postcard, whatever it is. I think a lot of those functions are going to be able to be accomplished by AI directly. And so that means it kind of puts the marketer in a new position. As you said, they're not really using AI to do them as a tool. Their AI is doing the marketing and then they're reviewing the output. And the reason I think that is probably the future is because it scales. It scales in an incredible way, and there can be so much more output. I think the key, though, is that the marketer has to stay in control. I don't see a future where AI is 100% autonomous and successful. I see a future where AI and humans are in a loop. They're in a REPL loop where they're able to see what is being produced and provide feedback and more context to kind of nudge it in the right direction here, there, and give final approval on putting things live. But what that might mean is when you go to do your next campaign, maybe instead of having to really come up with one excellent campaign, AI just presents like 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 different campaigns or pieces of creative or emails to you. And you simply just get to pick the best one and maybe tweak it or put your own kind of fingerprint on it.
So that's interesting. So you don't think it'll get to a point where it's agents managing agents as opposed to having a human involved?
Yeah, I guess it's all a matter of time, right? What time scale are we talking about? It does seem like email marketing will be fully run by AI at some point in the future.
I
I don't
agree.
think it's in 2 weeks. I don't think it's in 2 months. Probably not 6 months, but it could be a year. It could be 2 years. It's not that far away. But, even when AI is fully executing the marketing and delivering the emails and designing them and writing them, I think it's going to be really important that it's all observable. And so the human in charge can see everything that's happening and being created along with the results and intervene where needed, right? Because AI is like incredibly powerful, but it's also like only kind of truthy, right? Like it's right sometimes, it's wrong sometimes, like it makes stuff up. And so you can build guardrails around that to like, make it better. But when you're marketing for yourself or your own company on behalf of your brand or products, like you want it to be perfect every single time, right? There's no like room for one bad email or one bad marketing campaign. So it has to be like on the money, right? And the way that you ensure that now before agents can ensure it is by like having somebody watch it and see the outputs and approve them or modify them or kill them or whatever. So I guess ultimately you've kind of gotten to a good question. Maybe that we should put ourselves on the record here, Marilyn. How long until email marketing is 100% run by AI? What's your take?
Gosh. Okay. So this is such a topic that I think a lot of us just kind of want to put our heads in the sand, right? I think nobody knows the future. Nobody can predict the future. I mean, maybe sidekicks can, but that's normal folks don't know what's coming. I would imagine I had a client who's a very, very large client, one of the FANGs, which I think now the acronym is now Mango. But aside from that, that's a whole separate conversation with the new companies that are, growing larger and kind of taking over the top spots. But one of the larger companies, I got a sneak peek behind the curtain and I saw what's going to be coming even in the next year. And from an email marketing perspective, it is going to be absolutely incredible. It's exciting and I'm not going to lie, terrifying at the same time. But what they had showed was basically what the AI is going to be able to do is it still is going to take a human to launch the campaign, but the overall cycle is going to all be AI. And in the beginning, for sure, I think this coming year will require a human, especially because AI still needs a bit tweaking, especially when it comes to your brand voice. It is getting better and better, and it's getting better a lot quicker. But at least for the next year, I think it'll still require a human to review. But I'll say in 2 years, it'll get to the point where it'll be self-sufficient, for lack of a better term. So it'll get to where a human will launch the campaign, but the AI will write the copy based on all of the information that it has of the customer and where they are in the customer journey. It'll design the email on its own. Well, even the email can be tailored individually with one send. It'll just take one send, but each individual email will be tailored to the person individually. And then it'll, continually optimize on its own. It can do A/B testing on its own and then send you the final reports at the end of the campaign. I'll say for the record, we'll see how bad this ages. I'll say 2 years before that happens. What do you think?
So you're saying 2027?
I think
I will take the
2027.
under. I will take the
Oh,
under.
you're gonna take the
So if you're
under.
saying October 16th, 2027, I will say
Yes,
that's happening before that. So, all right, this one's on the record, and we will come back and visit it maybe next year and the lead up to BFCM.
that will be awesome. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see who wins.
So, Marilyn, I know you just did a big talk in the UK about AI and what's coming. I'd love to hear a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so it's so interesting because I think everyone's now becoming aware of AI, right? Everybody is now realizing that this isn't slowing down, this isn't stopping, and it's not going anywhere. So there's three trends that I'm really focusing on for 2026. The first one is agentic AI, right?
Mm.
Like I think that's something that we're already starting to see today. And like normal AI, for lack of a better term, just gives us answers, right? We input a question, we input a prompt, and it gives us answers. Versus agentic AI is going to be more actionable. So it'll be able to write things for us, post things for us, test things for us, give us the results instead of us having to manually do it. So agentic AI, I think is going to be huge in 2026, and we're going to see it get stronger. Have you used the browser Comet yet by chance?
No, I have not.
Okay, so they just announced, Perplexity just announced that Comet is now available for free to everyone, which is
Mm.
really interesting because it was like $200 a month before. So If you haven't used it, I really, really recommend you going in there and just playing around with it. It's pretty incredible. It can, make restaurant reservations for you without you having to do it. It can buy things for you, which I will say, I don't trust it with my credit card and financial information just yet. I'm sure that'll change as time goes on and we get more comfortable, similar to online banking. I think a
Mm.
lot of people were hesitant to bank online at the beginning, but now it just seems like second nature and everyone has their bills on auto pay. So I'm sure it'll get to the point where people feel comfortable, but it's almost weird to have somebody have your credit card and be able to make purchases on your behalf. The second thing that I'm going to be keeping an eye on is embedded AI. So I feel like that's already starting to happen. So this past Monday, Slack announced that they embedded ChatGPT within their software. So I think AI is going to disappear like into everything that we do, and it'll disappear into our lives. So instead of having to use a separate tool to work with AI, just all our everyday tools are going to be embedded with it. So I'm curious to see where this is going to go for 2026.
Yeah, it's like table stakes. It's like electricity
Yeah,
or electric
exactly.
motors. They're just in everything now.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And then the third thing is predictive personalization. And I think this is
Mm.
also going to be really exciting for email too, where AI is going to personalize every experience. I mean, whether it's emails, ads that you're seeing, product recommendations, everything is going to be automatically personalized to you before you even ask for it, which I think kind of brings us into a bigger question. And that's authenticity, right? And actually, I had done a LinkedIn post about this recently where I am not a fan of user generated content by AI. I think
Mm.
UGC should be done by a human, not by an AI. It doesn't seem authentic. And the reason I made that post was because I got an advertisement on my Instagram for uh, anti-aging cream, and it was clearly an AI generated video telling me that this cream worked for 2 weeks, their wrinkles were gone. And all I kept thinking was, you're a robot. You don't have any wrinkles. This is like the worst sales pitch I've ever seen. So that, really motivated me to post a LinkedIn post about no AI user generated content. How to videos, fantastic. Explainer videos, absolutely. Feel free to use AI, but to have a testimonial of sorts or a user generated content for something that doesn't age and you're trying to sell me something to turn back the clock, it does not land at
It's like a
all.
lie, right? It's like
Exactly.
inauthentic.
Yeah,
It's like it's about
absolutely.
as valuable as one of the ChatGPT comments I see below my LinkedIn posts, right? Where it's just like one after another after another. It's like so clearly written by AI that doesn't actually add any value to the conversation or like move things forward. So I get that. That's true. AI UGC seems like it's like a tantalizing thing all marketers want to be able to create, but it doesn't land. Like it doesn't land because the audience just sees through it so quickly.
It's so true. And like that's one of the things like I'm also noticing that there has to be like a mindset shift of sorts. Like people I feel like are starting to become a bit numb to AI, and I think people want real connections and just and that equals authenticity. I think people are starting to crave that.
Yeah. So now the place where AI can provide value is, I think, more of that like predictive AI you were getting at, which is personalizing things more to the individual recipient. Because what that does is make the content feel more relevant. You're not getting lied to. It's the opposite. You're getting catered to, right? Like all
Exactly.
of your needs and desires and wants are being addressed, right? In a way that's comforting and provides you with the data and the information you need to get to decision. And so that's kind of the upshot of AI for me is really it's less thinking about how you can put AI into all the tools or how we can use AI to trick people. It's more about how do we use AI to deliver the outcomes that we want, the marketing outcomes that we want, the business outcomes we want, the personal outcomes we want. And then you can kind of use it as a tool to help you get there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's interesting too because I know Klaviyo is also implementing a lot more predictive type data to be able to push in, future purchases. If someone purchased something specific in the past, then they're more likely to purchase this other different product. So
And
yeah,
not only that, Klaviyo, I was just at KBOS in Boston. It's their big annual event. And one of them, and they rolled out a bunch of like AI things. But one of the things I just heard the most chatter about, like on the kind of conference floor, was the Klaviyo MCP server. So if you have a Klaviyo account and you've got an OAuth token, you can plug that into OpenAI or Claude or Gemini or whatever and have it interact with your Klaviyo account through APIs. And I'm not just talking about reading data, like reading reports or stuff like that. I'm talking about like writing stuff too. It can write flows, it can write campaign messages, it can write copy that will actually get dispatched and sent if you let it. Like it's that powerful. And so I like seeing those kinds of things. I think Klaviyo is actually pretty like forward thinking in terms of how they're integrating AI into their tools. I mean, you saw them, they had Nano Banana in their image editor like the same week it came out. They've got this MCP server that's awesome. And I think it probably gets folded into some of the, agentic commerce kinds of things that we're seeing out there now. And, on that note, did you see the partnership that OpenAI and Etsy and Shopify recently launched? What's your take on that?
that is so interesting to be able to check out just within the ChatGPT window. Yeah, that's incredible. And Walmart was recently
In
announced too.
Walmart.
That's huge, huge. So the way we're going to be shopping is changing, and the way we search is also changing. I feel like search is a whole separate a whole separate conversation because now instead of everyone focusing on keywords, search is now becoming conversational. It's going to change consumer behavior and how we shop. So that's so interesting. Yeah, what are your thoughts on it?
And my thoughts are, I think it's an it's an end round on Amazon. It's like a new interface that people may start using before they go to Amazon to seek answers. And if they can figure out the checkout, shipping, fulfillment part and make it just as seamless as Amazon's is, then it seems like it's a real potential threat. So I don't know. I'm wondering, like, well, does Amazon participate? But like, probably no. They're more of a walled garden. They've got Rufus, their own AI, and I'm thinking they're not going to participate. And there's going to be kind of a line drawn in the sand there where it does become kind of OpenAI, Shopify, Etsy, Walmart, a bunch of retailers on one side and Amazon on the other. So I'm actually pretty interested to see how it plays out. But I'm actually rooting for OpenAI and Shopify. I just think it's a wonderful thing. It's a very important thing for brands to have direct contact with their consumers. And so it's just a different way of thinking. That doesn't happen with Amazon. It does happen on the Shopify side of things. And so I think the more brands and boutiques and stores and manufacturers and all these different kinds of companies can know and understand and communicate with their end consumers, the better. And so I think that's actually a pretty positive development. And I haven't used it yet, but I probably will be an early adopter because I already do a good bit of product comparison shopping inside of ChatGPT. I'll even do like a deep research, like find me all of the, oil rubbed bronze chandeliers with 4 or more light bulbs that are less than 30-inch diameter. You fire and forget it. Check it a couple of hours later. It's like it basically tells you all of them that exist on the internet. And so I think I'm already using it for the discovery aspect. And if it's easier to just buy it on ChatGPT too, assuming I have the same ability to understand reviews and look through the photo gallery and understand shipping and pricing, like I'll do it. And so I actually think that tipping point, it may not be far away. That tipping point, probably isn't going to happen in time for this kind of holiday shopping season. I think by next holiday shopping season, we're all buying on ChatGPT.
I'm glad that this was caught on record. I agree. I think so too. And it's interesting you bring up the different universes, right? Will Amazon just kind of stay within its own universe, and then we have OpenAI or whatever other player comes into the mix at that point with purchases itself. And that kind of aligns with agentic browsing. So I had used Comet to research robot cleaners for my windows because I have a lot of windows in this home. And so I had it research all of these different, basically just find me the best robot window cleaner that's out on the market today. And it did. And it also had the ability to even purchase it for me. But like I mentioned, I don't trust it quite yet with my credit card. So at least with the OpenAI checkout, you can, you still have control of inputting the credit card information as opposed to having it just do it on its own.
So, marketer independence, BTF, what does that mean? Well, like marketing is this hard job where you have to understand your customer and your value proposition and like communicate to people, and it's like noisy and it's hard to get your message through. But the marketer is encumbered because they always have to depend on other people to get their job done, right? They frequently need a developer to like code up the actual email or the flow or the automation or the landing page. They may need a designer to make something in Figma or Illustrator. I think those days are kind of going away. I think as the days on the calendar flip by, the marketer is now becoming more and more independent, and AI is kind of killing that creative bottleneck where you have an idea, right? Like a thought, there's a moment, a light bulb goes off and you want to take action on it. But then, like, oh, you get bogged down. I have to talk to a developer and a designer, and it has to get prioritized on the list. And I'll see that in a couple weeks. And like, that's all going away. Now it's so easy to get into, you could use like one of the foundation models like OpenAI or Gemini, but you could also do something like jump into Figma Make and just build a real time prototype of the landing page, complete with a great look, great copy, even animation, like at your own desk without being dependent on anybody else. And where I'm seeing that happen the most right now is email. Grid and Pixel is putting together some incredible emails for a ton of brands. We've got over 2,700 brands now that use Grid and Pixel. And what we do is just pump out emails for everything. Welcome series, abandoned cart, abandoned browse, abandoned collection, site abandonment, product abandonment, win back, post purchase, subscription upgrade, and a tons of different kind of campaigns, seasonal holidays, flash sales, markdowns, leading up into the BFCM period. There's all these different kinds of emails that you need, and AI is just marvelous at creating them. And so if you got an idea, it's really just like one or two prompts away to kind of getting to that end result. And I see this as being like a really, really significant breakthrough, not only for like the industry, but for individual marketers and just how they do their job every day. And so I think it's a really exciting time. What's your take on marketer independence?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, I think it's so great that Grid and Pixel offers all of these different templates that marketers can use because we all know like design teams are overloaded. By the time you fill out the creative brief, get everything submitted, it's time consuming, right? And you have to get in the queue and you have to wait your turn. And with Grid and Pixel allowing and giving us all of these different templates to choose from, I think is so fantastic because it cuts down on that design time. Um, and then for marketer independence, it's AI is so great at enabling that. You have tools now, you can vibe code a website within seconds instead of having to work with your development team. And granted, they're still there for the big full scale stuff. But even if you just want to put out a minimal viable product, vibe coding is so incredible at that and just allowing you to build it fast. And it just lets you move quicker, to your point, without having us, the humans, as a bottleneck, because there's only so fast that we can go, whereas there's no restrictions when it comes to AI in terms of speed. And it's also great for companies that don't have like a full-fledged 50% marketing team. So companies that are smaller and it's either one person running everything, AI has got to be the greatest tool for them to be able to level out the playing field compared to the big guys who do have the larger budgets. AI is definitely the way to go. There was a client that I had a few years ago, and I remember we were updating and rebranding their website, and to make one copy change took 6 months to change one paragraph
That's
on
bad.
the on their website. It was awful. It was terrible. And it was again because we had to get into the queue and wait our turn. And marketing always seemed to fall to the bottom compared to other products that they wanted to launch on the tech side. But it was so bad. And yeah, with AI, it's so much quicker and things go so much faster.
Yeah, I mean, I think AI has basically proven that the bottleneck hasn't been creativity. The bottleneck has been like waiting for somebody to open Figma and actually do the work, right? And now AI is doing a lot of the work and things can move so much faster.
Agreed. Agreed.
Well, Marilyn, I know you're sitting at Park City and I see snow behind you right now, and that must mean 'tis the time of the year. BFCM is just around the corner, and this is like high season, right? It's the top of the seasonality curve for e-commerce, for DTC, for email marketing. And so what are the things you're thinking about and talking about and looking forward to this BFCM?
Yeah, so I woke up to a winter wonderland this morning, which was actually a surprise because it's October 16th and we were not expecting snow. But yeah, I feel like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, from an email marketing perspective, is going to be quite different this year. And I say that because I feel like I'm seeing brands send, fax more emails or just sending a ton more emails. I think, or we've seen inbox providers have launched stricter policies. We're seeing more spam filters. So I'm really hoping, I know last year when we talked and we kind of gave the game plan for how to plan for Black Friday, Cyber Monday last year, we had talked about starting to prep your list early in the summer. So July, preferably, but August at the absolute latest to start preparing their list. So if you're listening to this, I hope you've already started doing that with your list. But I think the major centerpiece for this year's Black Friday, Cyber Monday is going to be to make it personal. Like I mentioned before, I think people are becoming a bit numb to AI. And to make the emails personal, I feel there's two components to this. I think there's a mindset side and then there's the tactical side, obviously. I touched on it before, but on the mindset side, I feel like people are just starting to crave a lot more realness and a lot more connections and a lot more authenticity. So one of the things that I'm actually helping with some of my clients is I'm building thankful for you type campaigns the week before Black Friday.
Hmm.
And those types of emails are going to be highlighting real customer stories. And I think that, it ties into the Thanksgiving vibe and showing your product and service through real human experience. So it also ties back into the no AI UGC content in your emails, but actually using real people in your stories and just having that human connection. I think the other thing people too are going to be keeping an eye on this year is an emphasis on either sustainability or ethical shopping, because I feel like we're kind of morphing into this conscious consumerism, and it feels like people are just shopping more with their values, not to make this political by any means. But I think people are curious to know, like, where are their products coming from? Who's making them? Does their purchase have a certain impact? So it's not just about what people are buying, but the why behind why they're buying it. So that's my take on the mindset perspective. And then in terms of tactics, there's actually a few things that I'm going to be testing out this year. So I'm curious to see how they're going to go. So, you have your normal things like segmenting your list based on past purchases and make sure you're doing all of that for your Black Friday, Cyber Monday email sequence. But one of the things I'm going to be keeping an eye on and that I want to try, the first one is almost gamifying your Black Friday offers. So,
Hmm.
we've seen it before, kind of spend 50, get 10% off, spend 100, get 20% off, so on and so forth. So you're essentially having the consumer upgrade themselves. And I've seen companies do it in the past, but I've never tried testing it myself. So I'm curious to see how that's going to work out. And then another tactic that I want to try that I have not seen anybody do this yet, and I'm very curious to see if anyone is willing to try this or does try this, is scarcity offers. But what I mean by that is offering different tiered offers, but only offering a certain number of them. So for example, if you have a 50% cyber code, I had Cyber Monday on my brain, so I'll just say 50% discount code, you only make 5 of those available. And then you have a 40% off promo code, but you only make 10 of those available. And then a 30% promo code, but you only make 15 of those available. So I haven't seen anyone use that before for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. If anyone out there is listening and you actually try this, please get back to me and let me know how it works for you, because I'd love to see this tested. So yeah, so those are a couple of tactics that I think I'm going to be trying to push for this Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and see how they plan out.
Yeah, those are good ones. I mean, in terms of the messaging, 2 things I heard you say were expressing congratulations and expressing gratitude. Those are timeless ways to form an emotional connection through an email. They work when you're sitting across the table from somebody, and they work when you send an email directly to somebody. And so it's a great tip. The more you can weave in congrats or thank you or that feeling or expression of gratitude into your marketing messages, the better. The most important thing I would tell people to focus on this BFCM, and you said the word twice, is your offer. You got to have your offer dialed in. Actually, one of the main reasons why it makes sense to start early is so that you can test a bunch of different offers to see what the best one is, so that you're not just throwing one dart at the dartboard. You've got a little bit of time here to tweak your offers, but you really got to lock it in and be ready to go by like second, third week of November. And so that's the key. You got to think about your business, your product, your profit margin, your COGS, and determine what your offer is going to be. And it's got to be compelling, but it's also got to make you money. Don't put an offer out there that's not going to make you money on the very first sale. The first sale and every sale after has to make you money. And so put together an offer that does that, but maybe in a gamified way that can increase the AOV by getting them to add on additional products or buy more things.
And actually, I'll even add on to that, because as you were saying that, it sparked another idea, is maybe even launching a limited edition item specifically for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So this way you're not just solely relying on discounting. It could be just a limited edition specific product just for that weekend. So I'd be curious if anybody tries that too.